muito bem-vindos todos os que aqui estão hoje e motivaram o seu tempo para estar aqui na Microsoft em Lisboa. É um prazer para mim estar aqui também convosco hoje. O meu nome é Paulo Nunes de Abreu, sou cofundador do Digital Health Portugal e faço aqui mestre de cerimónias na apresentação dos dois oradores iniciais que vão connosco dar o arranque desta sessão. Esta iniciativa que nos traz aqui hoje é uma colaboração conjunta entre o Digital Health Portugal e a 40 Plus Lab. Temos aqui também a fundadora e a CEO do 40 Plus Lab, a Ana Sepúlveda, que é um prazer também termos esta colaboração, termos a Ana aqui connosco, que irá estar com todos vós ao longo do dia para que seja uma reunião produtiva para todos e que proporcione aqui aquilo que todos aqui viemos buscar, mais conhecimento e algum networking sobre esta nossa sessão. Só um vislumbre muito rápido naquilo que vai ser a parte da manhã. Agora a sessão de abertura com a Sandra Mateus e o Pedro Cid, depois temos uma primeira sessão de longevidade e desenvolvimento regional e a sessão 2, Public Health Digital Innovation. A partir das 11h30 temos um coffee break às 11h. I'm now going to speak in English. Bonnie is here in the room and we forgot about that. I forgot constantly. So welcome all. This is the 7th Digital Portugal meetup, a joint initiative with 40 Plus Lab. And João Sepúlveda is here with us today. And after a quick start of the session by Sandra Mateus and Pedro Cid, we're going to have 2 sessions, one on Longevidade and regional development, the other one on public health and digital innovation. So without further ado, this is over to you, Pedro, and the floor is yours.
And welcome to the 7th meetup of Digital Health Portugal. This edition with the theme of longevity in a digital health contest. My name is Pedro Cid. I'm the co-founder of Digital Health Portugal, along with my dear friend and partner of this initiative, Paulo Nunes de Abreu. Also to prove that behind the HP there are always superwomen. Thank you so much, Sofia Rocha and Juan Martin. As you know, without you, we couldn't have held this event. Just to recall the main goals of Digital Health Portugal. So this is a civic initiative, and we have some objectives. One of them is it's the knowledge generation in a sector that intersects politics, technology, and innovation. Also to enable policymakers to take the pulse of the demands and needs regarding digital health in Portugal. And of course, also the international projection of the Portuguese health ecosystem. So those are the main goals of the Digital Health Portugal. Of course, I would like to thank all those who came to meet us in person, speakers, distinguished guests, and also participants. It's an honor to have you here. I would also like to thank all of you that are following us remotely through the social networks. Of course, also to thank all of those who made another Digital Health Portugal meetup possible, especially our sponsors, Future Healthcare, Virtual Clinic, and IT Ecosystems. This meetup was held in partnership with the 40 Plus Lab, represented by Ana Sepúlveda, who helped us to organize and set up the agenda. Ana, thank you so much for your hard work and effort. And also as operational and strategic partners, I would also like to thank Turismo de Lisboa and of course, especially our host of this 7th meetup, Microsoft, who lent us their house to talk about innovation, digital health, and longevity. So thank you, Sandra Mateus, and the floor is now yours. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So Thank you, Digital Health Portugal, for inviting me to be here, and welcome to Microsoft, and welcome to Microsoft Home. This house, this building is our building where we work every day, but you're all invited to work here. This has been on the news for some time, so the ground floor is open to everyone that wants to work here. So appreciate our building, and if you want to know more about the building, let me know. When Paulo reached me out to talk about this conference and to we think about it, it really resonated with me. I think I'm on a personal moment where longevity tells me a lot. I have a 90 and recently 9-year-old boy, and my mother is 74. And I find myself frequently thinking about longevity. So because I want to spend more time with my mother, because I want to have more time with my kids and with my family. And I think about that, and also as working at Microsoft. I've said this before in other forums that I like technology, not because I was born and educated in technology. My degree is in management, but because I like what technology can do for us. And most of all, it can make our life very easier. And I think it's the same thing when we think about healthcare. What we need of technology in healthcare is making our lives easier. So here at Microsoft, we have a very extensive team of people that work in healthcare every day. I'm dedicated to healthcare with Miguel Barradas, which is behind there. And we spend most of our days working with hospitals in Portugal and with the healthcare facilities and institutions to make sure that they take the best advantage of the technology they buy from us and the technology they already have. I wanted to know that one of the topics that we work very frequently, and I think it's very related with longevity, is the preventive care. We are seeing that as a need, a frequent need in our customers is to work on preventive care, to go from taking care to go to preventive care, and to start that preventive care sooner than later, to make sure that we extend the life of everyone. But as we all know this, and this is not new to anyone that works in healthcare, we also continue to see healthcare institutions and healthcare customers dealing with information in silos, with lack of investment. So we are in a middle point where we need to make sure that we are investing in the right things to make the advances that we need to do. And I think initiatives like this one can make that kind of change and awareness to direct the investment for what it needs to be. I also want to know that I think and I'm not in the healthcare, I'm not a doctor or trained in healthcare, but my opinion is that we have been working for a long time in expanding our lives. And what we are seeing with technology and mostly with AI is reversing age. And I think that's also a topic that you will embrace here in this conference. And we are seeing that very frequent as something that AI could help. So when we look at technology, and I know with ChatGPT and everything that we have seen, that it kind of frightened us to look at technology and see how is this going to help me? How is this going to make my life easier? Or is this is going to replace doctors, or is going to replace and everything, and we'll be led by machines? That's not the case. We have a long time to get there. And I think we all should make sure that we make the right questions and use the technology that is in front of us for what is meant to be, and use it wisely. So, and make sure that we all are in the same level of knowledge, not in technical knowledge, but to make sure that we are know now that the only way that we can progress in healthcare in an affordable way, and it will make it democratized, is through technology. There's no other way. There's not enough doctors in the world. That's not me that says it. That's very studies that point that way. So we need to use technology to progress that, not only on longevity, but also on finding new medicines, on finding new cures and extending our lives. So this was my opening words. It's just to make sure that if you are or in somehow not close to technology, ask questions, make yourself near, come to this type of events, because this is where you learn from it. So, and take the most of the event and take the most of being here at Microsoft, and welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sandra, for those words. And now I think I will pass the word to Paulo to show us the next move.
Thank you so much, Pedro and Sandra. Really, it's good to have a good kickstart of this session with your kind words and your intervention, and also thoughtful thanks from Pedro to all involved here, which I reiterate now. So we are starting now session 1, longevity as an axis for regional development, and this is the 3 minutes before the start time. Huh? We are really ahead. So thank you all for making this possible and keeping the schedule here. So right now we are going to have a kickstart presentation session hosted by Anna Sepúlveda, which I already call here. Please, Anna, if you be so kind, and perhaps grab a seat there as you are going to start this. And Juan Martin also from CENIE. Thank you so much, Juan, for being here. And also if you can grab a seat. Remotely, we should have some other guest speakers joining after Juan's presentation in a few minutes, I think 20 minutes now for your intervention. Ana Clara Mendonca Silva from Madeira, which, by the way, as you know, Madeira is suffering a severe storm. So I hope the connections are good and we can have Ana Clara Mendonca Silva virtually present with us. Without further ado, Anna, the floor is all yours.
Thank you. Well, once again, good morning. Thank you for being here. I will pass the mic to Juan. Let me introduce him. Juan is directing CENIE. CENIE is an organism funded by European Union to develop longevity economy in Iberia. So they have nowadays 3 focus. One is developing longevity economy, another one is prevent health, and the other one is health in finance health. So this is the 3 main goals for CENIE for the next 3 years, I think, 3 years, yes. So Juan is the one who is developing the strategy for Iberia, Portugal, and Spain, together with 2 organisms in Portugal and another in Spain, academy involved. So I will pass the floor to you, Juan, and thank you for being here. Juan will speak in Portuguese or Spanish?
Spanish.
Vale.
Pienso que
Okay.
no sé si bueno, buen día. He de disculpar que me voy a expresar en castellano. Y, primero quiero agradecer a los organizadores que hayan pensado en nosotros, en el CENIE y en mi persona, para poder reflexionar y compartir todo lo que son distintas ideas sobre una de los 3 grandes cambios, de las 3 grandes palancas transformadoras del siglo XXI. Porque junto al cambio climático, la transformación digital, evidentemente el cambio sociodemográfico va a marcar las próximas décadas de una manera determinante y seguramente nos vamos a introducir en un territorio desconocido. nosotros, cuando pusimos el nombre de Centro Internacional sobre el Envejecimiento, no éramos conscientes de lo que estábamos diciendo y de las connotaciones que tiene la palabra envejecimiento. Rápidamente empezamos a percibir que cada vez que hablábamos del tema, las personas interpretaban que hablábamos de problemas, de que hablábamos de un proceso de pérdida y que evidentemente hablábamos de mayores. Después pensamos y evolucionamos hacia el concepto de longevidad, pero entendimos que esa era una cualidad, la longevidad de una sociedad o de un determinado grupo poblacional. Y finalmente ahora estamos situados en lo que son las nuevas sociedades longevas. Cada vez que decimos la palabra longevo, las personas rápidamente piensan en mayores, en idosos. Y por tanto, tenemos que hacer un esfuerzo pedagógico de explicar qué es longevidad y qué es una sociedad longeva. Una sociedad longeva no es una sociedad de idosos, no es una sociedad de viejos. Es una sociedad en donde sus miembros tienen ciclos de vida extensos. No hay nadie más longevo que los que están naciendo hoy, porque van a tener la mayor esperanza de vida de los que nacieron en otro momento. Por tanto, este tema terminológico, esta cuestión terminológica no es una cuestión menor, porque se sigue planteando el planteamiento, se sigue planteando esta aproximación de una manera asistencial. Cuando hablamos de longevos, de mayores, la percepción es de unos mayores en condiciones precarias, precisados de cuidados, y creo que esto está muy alejado de la realidad y ahora voy a tratar de hacer esa reflexión. Por tanto, nosotros nos estamos refiriendo a una sociedad en la que están presentes todos sus miembros, con la fortuna de que estamos conviviendo 5 y 6 generaciones en el mismo momento, y eso nunca ha ocurrido en la historia de la humanidad. Es más, la humanidad, desde que es consciente de sí misma, su mayor deseo, su mayor aspiración ha sido sobrevivir. Y por tanto, estamos teniendo la fortuna de asistir a un momento inédito. El gran logro de nuestra civilización es la extensión de la vida que estamos llevando a cabo. Hay que pensar que, por ejemplo, en España, a principios de 1900, la esperanza de vida era de 37 años y medio. Hoy es de 80 y tantos, más que duplicado. Lo mismo ocurre en Portugal. Por tanto, nosotros aquí estamos un poco la estructura de lo que trabajamos. Nosotros trabajamos en 2 líneas de pensamiento. Una tiene que ver con las oportunidades y otra tiene que ver con los desafíos de las nuevas sociedades longevas. Cuando nosotros hemos identificado en el lado de las oportunidades lo que hemos denominado, lo que se denomina economía de la longevidad, que no tiene nada que ver, que es diferente a la Silver Economy. La Silver Economy es un concepto que se utiliza para toda esa relación en términos de prestaciones de servicios y comercialización de productos destinados a un público determinado. La economía de la longevidad se extiende a una mirada mucho más amplia sobre la sociedad y, como me voy a referir más adelante, tiene para nosotros un concepto, tanto para España como para Portugal, pensamos que estamos hablando de un sector estratégico. Un sector estratégico, cuando en España y en Portugal se habla de la automoción, ninguém tiene duda de que estamos hablando de un sector muy importante. Pero la realidad es que en España y en Portugal sobre la automoción no se toma ni una sola decisión estratégica. Bueno, se puede llamar decisión estratégica decir que pongo 10.000 millones de euros encima de la mesa para que el modelo de coche eléctrico, de carro eléctrico X, se produzca en una planta en Mataró, en Cataluña. y que me diga, y entonces con esos 10.000 millones que pone el gobierno sobre la mesa, viene el presidente de la compañía alemana o donde sea y dice, estoy de acuerdo, o dice, me parece poco. No tienes ninguna garantía de que 3 años después considere que Mauritania ofrece unas condiciones maravillosas y que por tanto me voy. Por tanto, este tema de decisiones estratégicas en alguna medida deberíamos de matizar el término. Pero en cambio, cuando hablamos de economía de la longevidad, estamos hablando de 2 países que tienen una de las mayores esperanzas de vida en el mundo. En 2040 España será el país más longevo del mundo y Portugal será el 5º más longevo del mundo. Ya sé que la esperanza de vida es una estadística que esconde muchas realidades, muchas desigualdades y muchas diferencias, pero eso no quita de que en su conjunto estos 2 países son de los más longevos del mundo. Y además se le une otra condición, y es que si pensáramos de forma conjunta en lo que es la península ibérica, apenas es el 0,5% del territorio mundial. Cuando las personas con su dinero toman decisión de a qué lugar acudir para disfrutar unos días, resulta que es el lugar más atractivo del planeta, con más de 120 millones de turistas. Entonces, estas 2 circunstancias que ya sé que son muy interesantes, titulares de prensa en los jornales, me parece que esconden una potencialidad increíble. Estamos en el lugar del mundo donde más se vive y más atractivo del planeta. ¿Hay algo que pueda ser más estratégico como potencialidad que estas circunstancias? ¿O es que las personas que vienen aquí tienen un carácter masoquista, que vienen aquí porque consideran que es donde más pueden sufrir? Es decir, todas las características que se puede asociar a estas 2 circunstancias son positivas. Y por tanto, me parece que cuando tenemos que hablar de la necesidad de tener un proyecto de país, un proyecto de Estado, un compromiso colectivo, no hay tantas cosas en las que podamos pensar y que nos puedan sentir tan identificados con un propósito, ¿no? Por tanto, una de las cuestiones es el tema de la economía de la longevidad. Nosotros en España hemos hecho, para construir esa idea de proyecto, de sector estratégico, lo primero que hemos hecho es medir cuál es la dimensión de la economía de la longevidad. Y en ese sentido hicimos un estudio con Oxford Economics, en el cual estos son los números. Esto es esas personas mayores, esos idosos que necesitan cuidados, que siempre están carenciados. Suponen más del 26%, el gasto de los hogares con personas mayores de 50 años protagonizadas es más del 26% del Producto Interior Bruto de España. Son las personas con más capacidad de gasto, son las personas con más capacidad de ahorro, son las menos endeudadas, son las que tienen mayor patrimonio. ¿De qué estamos hablando cuando hablamos de mayores? Entonces, y además, a esto hay que añadir el hecho de que la esperanza de vida nos sitúa en esas cifras mágicas que cada vez tienen menos sentido, 65, con 30 años por delante. 30 años que una sociedad como la nuestra interpreta que se puede permitir el lujo, no solamente ya desde el punto de vista de sociedad, sino de mirada individual, de prescindir de ellos. Es decir, yo tengo 64 años y 364 días, soy director general de no sé qué compañía, soy la persona más indicada para dirigir la compañía y al día siguiente soy un número. Bueno, evidentemente dice poco de esa compañía, porque ¿cómo ha podido tener a un inútil hasta el último minuto? Porque si al día siguiente no sirve para nada, pues evidentemente no hay ninguna razón para haberle mantenido. Por tanto, al Consejo de Administración que tomó esa decisión, evidentemente no estaba muy en los cabales cuando se toma estas cuestiones. Es decir, la transición, toda esta flexibilización del ciclo laboral, del paso del trabajo al no trabajo, lo tenemos que empezar a mirar de una manera mucho más flexible y a interpretar que esta asociación que se hace de la edad con la productividad, con el talento y con este tipo de cuestiones, no tiene ninguna, no está sustentada en ninguna evidencia científica. Puede ser muy innovador una persona de 70 años o puede ser el más conservador de todos una persona con 22. Puede ser la persona más arriesgada con 72 años y, en cambio, puede ser una persona que hace una mirada mucho más restringida de sus expectativas con una edad mucho más joven. Es más, los estudios demuestran que todas las iniciativas de innovación puestas en marcha por personas mayores de 60 a 65 años tienen mucho más éxito que las que ponen personas menores. Por tanto, hay toda una serie de asociación de prejuicios creadas en el sentido de que a mayor edad, menos productividad. Ahora vamos a presentar en septiembre próximo un estudio en el que se demuestra que las empresas, las organizaciones que tienen unas medias de plantilla con mayor edad, son más productivas, son más rentables y una cosa muy importante, son las personas, las organizaciones que más competitivas. Y por tanto nos podríamos preguntar, por ejemplo, ese movimiento masivo que hubo hace unos años de impulsar las prejubilaciones con 52 años, con 54 años, que decían, es que cuanto más jóvenes son las plantillas, son más productivas, porque el rejuvenecimiento de las plantillas laborales, de las empresas. A lo mejor lo que estaban diciendo es que era otra manera más de maximizar el beneficio de los accionistas, porque nos quitábamos un montón de salarios costosos y por tanto era otro camino más para construir en la misma dirección. Porque lo que realmente es que por supuesto, al final se conseguían mejores resultados, había mejores bonus para los directivos y todo ese tipo de circunstancias que todos conocemos, pero la realidad es que se empobreció a esas empresas. Y personas que mantenían unas responsabilidades importantes en la empresa fueron expulsadas, por supuesto consensuadamente, bien remuneradas y todo este tipo de cuestiones que podemos asociar a este tipo de circunstancias. Por tanto, yo creo que cuando hablamos de economía de la longevidad debemos de tener muy presente que estamos hablando del grupo demográfico más importante, con la mayor capacidad económica, con la mayor capacidad de gasto y una de las bases en la que nos tendremos que asentar en los próximos años. Voy a añadir alguna traducción a estas cuestiones de lo que supone. Y en ese sentido, solo decir que en este momento estamos más o menos en 1 de cada 4 en 2 o 3 años serán personas que tengan más de 65 años y en 2050 será 1 de cada 3. Si retiramos a los menores de 18 años que no votan, el cuerpo electoral mayor de 65 años será más del 40 y tantos %, que seguramente pedirán cosas que les puedan favorecer y seguramente aquellos que quieren gobernar las concederán. Y lo que ocurre es que si no trabajamos bien toda esta cuestión, estamos impulsando el choque generacional que sería el mayor de los fracasos como sociedad. Y por tanto no es un tema menor el que empecemos a entender qué tipo de sociedad somos, cómo son las nuevas sociedades longevas, porque estamos ante retos que nos van a marcar de manera determinante nuestras vidas. En el otro ámbito, hemos hecho una mirada sobre los desafíos de las nuevas sociedades longevas. Nosotros hemos identificado 10 ítems. Las alianzas intergeneracionales, la capacidad financiera, el aspecto educativo, cómo se tiene que transformar. Es decir, hay unas instituciones muy interesantes que se llaman universidades que han fijado como nicho de clientes personas de 18 a 20 y tantos años que casualmente no tienen dinero para pagar lo que se les ofrece. Como política comercial está perfectamente dirigida, ¿no? Evidentemente, nuestra vida se marcaba hasta ahora en 3 grandes etapas: formación, trabajo y jubilación, reforma. Pero ahora vamos a tener muchas más etapas en la vida. Vamos a entrar y salir del mercado laboral, unas veces porque de manera voluntaria, otras veces por decisión, que la empresa considera que ya no tenemos las condiciones adecuadas para lo que están los objetivos que se tienen. Y esas entradas y salidas, habrá personas con 35 años que tengan una maternidad, una paternidad, y dicen, pues mira, voy a dedicar el 50% del tiempo a disfrutar de esa maternidad o esa paternidad y otro 50% a trabajar. Es decir, encontraremos múltiples formas en que se organizará el trabajo. En esas entradas y salidas vamos a requerir eso que todo el mundo hablamos, pero que hay que hacerlo posible, que es el aprendizaje a lo largo de toda la vida. ¿Qué van a hacer las universidades? Van a seguir diciéndote que tienes que irte 4 años allí cuando tengas 44 y, no sé, y 3 hijos, tal, te vas 4 años a una ciudad ahí. Tendremos que encontrar otras maneras, porque tienen que seguir contribuyendo, porque para eso son centros de conocimiento, a esas transformaciones que tenemos que hacer. Por tanto, cito este ejemplo porque en donde pongamos el foco vamos a tener que repensar nuestra situación. Al final, los desafíos para una buena calidad de vida y para preservar el estado del bienestar, que es la gran contribución de Europa y en términos de futuro. Es decir, parece increíble lo que voy a decir. El mundo puede prescindir de Europa, excepto en una cuestión que será su gran drama si ocurriera, en lo que entendemos en Europa por derechos sociales y todo lo que significa el estado del bienestar. En eso Europa sigue siendo una referencia y debe de preservar serlo. Y para tener una buena calidad de vida hay 3 cuestiones que afectan: la capacidad física, la capacidad cognitiva y la capacidad financiera. Y esos 3 aspectos tenemos que ver cómo somos capaces de construir un modelo inclusivo, sostenible en el tiempo. Nosotros ahí, igual que hemos fijado como objetivo prioritario en la parte de oportunidades el que España y Portugal, que tienen legitimidad, por lo que he dicho, para liderar un planteamiento en cuanto al sector estratégico en este campo, y lo fijamos, esa prioridad de considerarlo sector estratégico, en la parte de los desafíos, nosotros hemos situado 2 grandes prioridades. Una es la salud financiera. Voy a poner un pequeño ejemplo, que luego voy a referir un minuto más a ello. Es decir, las personas que se manifiestan en las calles, mayores, que están reformados, diciendo que suba el 1%, el 3%, el 4%, el 5%, esas personas ya no tienen los problemas. Esos no son los que tienen los problemas. Son todos los que no se manifiestan los que tienen los problemas. Mi hijo tiene 27 años y yo le digo, es que la pensión, y me dice, papá, cuando a mí me toque ya no habrá. Y digo, bueno, yo entonces descubro la espiritualidad de mi hijo, porque a lo que se llama cotización todos los meses que aportas a la seguridad social, si lo llamáramos realmente como es una donación. Es una donación basada en la fe de que igual que yo hago estas donaciones todos los meses, dentro de 30 años habrá otros donantes que hagan esas donaciones para que yo cobre. O sea que es cuando alguien hace esas donaciones y ya no espera nada, pues evidentemente están a un paso de subir al altar. Porque estas personas, es decir, tú estás haciendo estas donaciones todos los meses y no esperas nada. No lo valoramos suficientemente lo que significa esta forma de percibir. Por tanto, uno de los temas es la salud financiera, que afecta de manera muy determinante a todas nuestras circunstancias, a nuestra salud, a nuestras relaciones. Y otra es la salud en el sentido más amplio. y se supone que yo debería de venir aquí a hablar sobre estos temas de salud, ¿no? Entonces voy a pasar a ese tema. Ahí nuestra prioridad la hemos situado en el concepto de atención preventiva. Cuando hablamos de envejecimiento saludable, ¿qué queremos decir? Queremos decir que tenemos que potenciar nuestro sistema de salud, pero nuestro sistema de salud está basado en dos pilares: la atención primaria y la atención hospitalaria. Las personas que acuden a la atención primaria y a la atención hospitalaria o tienen una sintomatología determinada o tienen una patología ya desarrollada. Por tanto, si estamos hablando de envejecimiento saludable, se supone que lo que estamos tratando es de anticiparnos a que estas circunstancias ocurran, porque ya a partir de esas cuestiones entramos ya en otro momento de las vidas de esas personas. Por tanto, evidentemente, todo lo que es la extensión de la vida está modificando también, desde el punto de vista epidemiológico, el conjunto de enfermedades y la prevalencia de estas mismas, ¿no? En estas cuestiones, digamos que esto es lo que trata de decir es que evidentemente una mejor salud siempre ha ocurrido en la historia de la humanidad, que cuando la gran revolución médica la han traído las vacunas, la ha traído la higiene, la han traído los antibióticos y evidentemente cada vez que hemos mejorado en términos de salud una sociedad, hemos ganado económicamente también. Las personas son más rentables en la medida que están más sanas. Y esa misma circunstancia está asociado a la transición demográfica que en estos momentos se está llevando a cabo, en donde las vidas tendrán que ser más prolongadas tanto en lo laboral como en el aspecto de salud. Hay un concepto que es el de trabajo que evidentemente cada vez que hablamos, cada vez que pienso en ello, digo, tuvo que ser algo verdaderamente grave lo que Adán y Eva hicieron en el paraíso. Porque claro, si de repente les dijeron y te ganarás el pan con el sudor de tu frente, y de ahí definimos el concepto trabajo, claro, esto es un castigo. Pero claro, ¿cómo realmente nos transformamos, nos desarrollamos y nos hacemos personas? En el trabajo, en nuestro desarrollo profesional, en nuestras expectativas, en términos de conocimientos. Entonces, ¿cómo tenemos asociado a algo que ocupa la mitad de nuestras vidas, si no más? ¿Cómo le tenemos asociado esta situación de castigo? Seguramente, en todo caso, deberíamos de ser respetuosos con los que no lo entienden así. Y por tanto, por supuesto, es un derecho conquistado el hecho de que las personas en una edad determinada puedan tomar la decisión de jubilarse y de reformarse y de tener un determinado ingreso vinculado a esa circunstancia. Pero no hay ninguna razón para que ese derecho se convierta en un deber. Es decir, aquellas personas que quieran proseguir sus vidas laborales, ¿por qué hay que decirles que no las prosigan? ¿Por qué hay que negativizar esa circunstancia? Es que hay dos circunstancias iguales. Es que la pensión 500, 600, 800, 1000, 2000 euros significa lo mismo para cada persona. Es que cada uno de nosotros se puede poner en el lugar del otro y saber qué necesidades o qué expectativas o qué deseos tiene. Mientras no vaya contra el derecho conquistado de en un momento determinado acceder a una determinada pensión, ¿qué razones hay para que aquel que quiere proseguir o aquella que quiere proseguir lo pueda hacer? No solamente no hay razones, sino que debemos de generar toda una normativa, una legislación que lo promueva, que lo facilite, que lo anime, que lo motive. No nos podemos permitir como sociedad tener, claro, cuando la jubilación se planteó, cuando Bismarck tomó la decisión, que además le dijo al ministro, mira a ver cómo resuelves esto y que no me cueste, la esperanza de vida era 6 o 7 años a partir de los 65. Por tanto, ya no quiero decir los que cotizaban o los que podían cotizar con respecto a los que podían cobrar. Pero es que ahora hay 30 años por delante. ¿Tengo 4 minutos? Pues entonces tengo que avanzar mucho. Bueno, lo que quería decir es que vamos a tener que generar una reflexión sobre estas cuestiones, porque cada año que queremos que vivamos más, lo tendremos que pagar. Es decir, un año más de jubilación, un año más que tendremos que tener capacidad financiera para pagar. Y por tanto, tener esto en cuenta. Solo ya me voy a centrar entonces en los datos de salud. España tiene 4.200.000 hospitalizaciones anuales. Portugal tiene 1.100.000. La media en España de una hospitalización son 7,4 días. En Portugal es 8,7. El coste de esa hospitalización en España es 4.500 euros, más de 4.500. En Portugal tenía un dato de 2014 que no sé si será correcto porque me parecía muy elevado, de 800 y pico euros diarios, ¿no? Hay un estudio de la OCDE de 2015 que dice que en las 5 enfermedades más prevalentes de los mayores, cardiopatías, diabetes, hipertensión, etcétera, con una atención preventiva podríamos obtener una disminución de las hospitalizaciones, de los internamientos, en el caso de España 6,3, en el caso de Portugal 5,7. Eso, si lo trasladamos a las consultas hospitalarias, que en España son 480 millones entre consultas médicas, consultas de enfermería, en urgencias, en atención primaria, en Portugal son como unos 66 millones, 67 millones. El precio de una consulta en el sistema público son 39 euros. Si es médica, de 18, si es de enfermería. Todos estos números es para decir que la suma de lo que significaría la reducción de los internamientos y de las consultas superaría, en el caso de España, los 1.000 millones de euros anuales. Entonces, cada vez que hablamos cuando lo que nosotros estamos diciendo es que tiene que surgir un nuevo pilar en los sistemas de salud, al lado del pilar de la atención primaria y de la atención hospitalaria, que es el pilar de la atención preventiva, con presupuestos, organigrama, personal propio. Y que esto no es un mayor gasto. Esto lo que requiere es una mirada de una reasignación del gasto. Una reasignación del gasto. Todo lo que invertamos en prevención nos generará circunstancias diferentes en términos de la presión que tienen los otros dos pilares. Y todo esto será mucho más importante, y con esto no quiero ser riguroso en el tiempo lo más que se pueda, con una circunstancia que viene, que es que en 2100, de los 10 países más poblados del planeta, 5 serán africanos. El primero será India. El segundo, hay algunas proyecciones que sitúan a Nigeria por delante de China, que con la política del hijo único y tal, caerá. Y después están, el quinto es República Democrática del Congo, Tanzania, Etiopía, no sé cuál es, hay otro país africano también. O sea, y mientras tanto en Europa, en España, nos quedaremos casi con la mitad de población. Es decir, vamos a tener una sociedad donde más personas hayan nacido fuera de nuestro país, en el caso de Portugal pienso que va a ser similar, que los que han nacido ahí. Y que no van a venir solamente a hacer trabajos de cuidados y cuestión. Los vamos a necesitar para mantener nuestra capacidad de generar riqueza y para mantener nuestro nivel de vida. Y entonces, este tema no va a ser un problema de país, ni de una región de un país, del mundo. Va a ser un problema planetario, porque vamos a tener que pensar qué hacemos para que esas personas que van a ayudarnos a mantener un determinado desarrollo en nuestros países tengan la formación necesaria para hacer esa contribución y tengan la salud adecuada. Y me refiero a estas dos cuestiones porque eso nos lleva inevitablemente a pensar que tendremos que pensar en inversiones en origen, porque la migración tendrá que ir hacia una migración a demanda. Y en los primeros años de la vida de las personas, en su infancia, se determina una parte importantísima de cuál va a ser la salud de esas personas. Por tanto, invertimos en origen, en una mejor salud en esa infancia, o invertiremos aquí en las enfermedades que vamos a tener que atender. O invertiremos en formación o no seremos capaces de tener los recursos necesarios para que nos ayuden a hacer el desarrollo necesario. Por tanto, concluir que hay tres campos en los que nosotros creemos que tanto Portugal como España podemos coincidir y en los cuales podemos encontrar un futuro en el que tengamos cosas que decir. La economía de la longevidad, la salud financiera y, por supuesto, el tema de la atención preventiva. Y termino solamente con una referencia que no es menor. Todos pertenecemos a muchas comunidades, la europea, tal, pero hay unas comunidades que no podemos olvidar que son las que realmente nos van a servir de gran palanca en los próximos años si sabemos hacerlo, que son nuestras comunidades lingüísticas. La comunidad lusófona y la comunidad hispanohablante suponen en ese planeta tan diferente en términos demográficos que se está conformando, son más de 800 millones de personas, con una cada vez mayor incidencia y presencia no solo demográfica, sino también de peso político. No hay que mirar otra cuestión, la presencia de los latinos en Estados Unidos y las circunstancias que se dan para ver. Por tanto, y España y Portugal, que evidentemente en el continente latinoamericano, cuando piensan de manera aspiracional, miran al norte, o cuando piensan en términos económicos y comerciales, miran hacia China y hacia Asia, en el campo de los derechos sociales, en este tipo de cuestiones de las que estamos hablando, Europa sigue siendo una referencia y nosotros seguimos pudiendo ser un puente. Y por tanto, en esa comunidad nosotros tenemos una importantísima oportunidad de desarrollar todo esto que estamos hablando y de darle también un sentido económico y de generación de impacto económico para nuestras economías. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Well, I think it's quite clear that longevity economy is a strategy that we need to develop. Thank you, Juan. Well, I think we can go for the round table. I will ask Ricardo Encarnação from Rocha to sit near with me. Thank you, Juan. And I don't know if we have online Ana Clara, and we also have from Brazil Guilherme Rabello from Tech Balance. So thank you, three of you. Guilherme, thank you because he is at 6 a.m. or 6 something, yeah, 6 a.m. in São Paulo. So good morning. I'll ask the three of you to start introducing yourselves and explaining also how do you see this challenge for longevity. Maybe I'll start from Ana Clara, from the government of Madeira, then Guilherme, and then Ricardo.
Good morning. I hope the sound is quite good. Thank you for the invitation. As you know, we are living today a very, very hard day with Oscar. It's not a cat, but a storm. And it's because that I'm speaking from another space than the Secretary Regional for Health and Civil Protection, because we are working hard on this space. How I see this: I'm the Regional Director for Public Policies and Integrated Policies for Longevity. That means since 2021, I'm very, very, very awesome for this kind of themes. I would like to thank Juan. It's a great presentation, and for me, and we had another discussions before about that. We had the same problem as Portugal, as Spain, about the scenario, the demographic scenario. For us, the problem is similar. According to the projections, maybe Madeira, it will be the oldest region of Portugal in the future. But for us, at the outermost region, insular context, it's harder than the main stream, as usually I say. We need to abord the two dimensions. We are old, we are sick, and we are poor, but we are too old with an opportunity to do more, to work more, to contribute more, to be productive, to be successful in our age. And this is the two dimensions that for our strategy are at the moment more important. To have the expertise, to have the opportunity to work in these two fields. Of course, we need to care about our oldest, because they are, as I said, sick, poor, and dependent. And we are working on this field, but we want to make to gain more competences and to explore all the opportunities that the longevity can do for this region. For example, we are working in a way to explore the opportunity about innovation and, for example, the longevity innovation at the cardiovascular level, not just preventing, but to introducing some new approaches and to have the opportunity to export the learning about that. We can work for the old world as a lab, and we are preparing to install and to explore that opportunity to be a Madeira living lab for aging and for longevity, for example. How I feel the interest of the international and the national, at the national level too, about this longevity governance, because we are doing a longevity governance. The regional government create a dedicated area for do this. What path as the autonomous region of Madeira do and want to do, and how can we do to have this dedicated area of governance, longevity governance. Of course, we aligned our strategy with the best practice in the world, New Zealand or Canada or Ireland or Norwegian. It's a good examples of longevity on the political agenda, a dedicated ministry or dedicated governmental agency, or involvement of the society, or share strategic objectives, have a national reference framework or regional reference framework, had previous public studies. As Juan said, we want to do a same study for the Macaronesia region that involves Azores, Canarias, and Madeira, to explore the impact of the demography at the regional economy. We want to perform all transversality for all sectors. We want to put the longevity in the other, or in all policies. We are doing now a campaign against ageism, and we are combating ageism. We have, our initiatives are all documented. We clarify responsibilities, and we are doing developing a global model of data to monitoring our initiatives. This is the first steps, Anna. Maybe I will explore in the second time more that we are doing.
Thank you, Anna.
But for now, maybe it's
Thank
enough.
you. Thank you. It's quite clear, I think, that Madeira, well, longevity has a huge opportunity for innovation, for economical development. This is one of the messages we want to share with you today. So I'm bringing Guilherme from Tech Balance. Tech Balance is already here in Portugal. We are in a piloting project in a healthcare area. I'll ask Guilherme to introduce himself and explain also what Tech Balance is doing with the public healthcare in Brazil. Thank you, Guilherme, for waking up so early.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to join you. It's really early, but it's also important for us to start this communication and exchange of ideas so brightly, and I want to thank you for the invitation to be part of this event. My name is Guilherme Rabello, and I'm a part of the Tech Balance company. It's a startup. It's a part job. Since I'm one of the founding members, I'm representing today Fabiana Almeida, that is the physiotherapist and the one that started the whole idea of developing Tech Balance. In part of my job, aside from Tech Balance, I'm the head of innovation of the Heart Institute in São Paulo. That is part of the largest medical complex in Latin America that is related to University of São Paulo. And I met Fabiana in a medical congress. She was a young, interest physiotherapist trying to promote the better care of patients using technology. And through the exchange of ideas, when we met, she just explained to me about her intentions to use Tech Balance technology to promote better quality for elders and to have a system that could be easy to use through the mobile phones, and to use this interface to measure risk of falls for elders. And this is a major issue in Brazil. So after that, she put in place, and I mentored and helped her to make the company capable to provide service and solutions to the market in Brazil. As you may be aware, Brazil is a very large country. We do have things that you mentioned in Spain and Portugal in bigger dimensions here and continental size. And we have also disparities regarding healthcare access and solutions. So one of the issues we see, and that part of the Tech Balance goal is to measure, is how that we can provide at health governmental level but also at a company level, solutions for preventive care in the measure of providing to the employees, the human resources, better checkups, quality of life, and also to reduce the risks they may have on risk of fall or incompetency to be able to produce on their daily work. So that's one of the approaches we do for the private sector in healthcare preventive, but also in the governmental. The company is working very hard with the health insurance companies that offer to the elder ones and to the 50+ community many ways to measure their capacity, health capacity, to avoid especially the risks of fall that generates a lot of cost in healthcare, a lot of hospitalizations, and we know that reduce the quality of life. So in this bigger sense, I understand that startups, as the general health companies, they have today a synergy approach. We work together as complementary to provide solutions to the population, and the technology, when rightly designed and used, is potential alleviation to the burden we have today on the longer and more mature population. So that's part of what we are looking for, and we are reaching some very interesting results initially with our technology approach. But it's a major challenge, and I'm learning also that from Europe and Portugal and Spain, we have similar challenges to go after, and I'm very interested to be here today learning from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Guilherme. I'm gonna pass to Ricardo.
Thank you, Anna. Hi, everyone. Good morning. It's amazing to be here because I'm already learning a lot, and so that's a great way to start today. So my name is Ricardo Encarnação. I'm currently the country medical director in Rocha Pharmaceutical here in Portugal. Anna asked me to share a little bit about myself. I think that, and some curious fact, which is always amazing when someone asks you to share something curious about yourself. I think that one thing that usually works is I'm a child psychiatrist, which is not as common to be working on the industry. I continue to practice, and this reflects a lot of my passion. It's people, it's this intersection between living our daily lives and facing change and challenges. And so when I was reflecting about longevity and how I, as a physician and also as a country medical director at Roche, and how Roche could contribute to this, and we listened to Juan's presentation reflecting on the preventive side. As a company, we are not dedicating as much effort on the preventive side, although I can also share that the more we continue our path, the more important for us it is to integrate the full picture of the patient journey. But of course, we are more dedicated to early diagnosis, early detection of diseases, treatment, and then monitoring, which, in my opinion, and I believe in all of us, it's also a very important piece on the longevity, because of course, ideally, we would not have any diagnosis, we would not be suffering from any disease, but we know that biology works and it's there. And so inevitably, we will be needing to face any kind of medical condition. And for those, of course, we would love to have early diagnosis, detection, treatment, and proper monitoring. I think that the other area that truly fascinates me, and that's why I believe I'm here today, is this intersection between technology and healthcare. And if we reflect from the prevention to diagnosis, treatment, and monitoring, I cannot see, not the future, I cannot see the present of healthcare without this technology embedded in our hospitals, but also the way that we are already using it in our mobile phones, in our wearable devices. And so I do believe that technology is not it's definitely not the hurdle. It's not the challenge. The challenge is within our mindsets and within our societal mindset that still blocks us. And we heard today this, I would say, like another stigma, right, around technology and how it can also support us moving forward in a more strategic way. Regarding Roche, and I will not take long, I would just like to share one quote from a colleague that works in Basel, our headquarters. He's a physician and he leads an area of Roche that is focusing on identifying where the most promising technology, being a pharmaceutical compound, a diagnostic, or even a digital technology, might be being developed across the world, so Roche can partner with those institutions. And James Sabry, in a recent interview, said, the more you dive into science behind human disease, the more you realize that every disease is curable. It is impossible for us to go faster than the speed of light. It is impossible for us to create matter out of nothing. But it is not impossible for us to cure all human diseases. It's just difficult. And once you get past realizing it's just difficult, then all it takes is time, money, and work to actually eliminate human suffering from disease. Once you really understand that, then going to work becomes even more interesting because you know you can make a difference. And so I think this was probably one of the most inspiring sentences that I read from a colleague regarding what actually I also try to do every day. And my final comment before handing over to Anna again is, I do believe that our role as a pharmaceutical company, as a company that works in Portugal, like Microsoft for sure, is to be embedded in the ecosystem. And that means that, of course, we bring our expertise, but we also bring the passion to bring better outcomes for patients, which means at the end of the day, to live longer, happy, and more fulfilling lives.
Thank you. I had the opportunity to be in Cascais 1 month ago in a conference called Longevity Med Summit. And when I was there, it was very clear for me how the science is evolving, how the link between government, private companies, innovation, technology has to be done. And the next question I would like to the three of you is exactly this. What is the role we have here, government, represented by Ana Clara? We have innovation and technology represented by Guilherme, and we have the private sector of health represented by Ricardo. And sometimes people see this connection between the three a little bit dangerous. This partnership between private and public is not a specific issue. And I would like to bring it to the table because I think when we are talking about the competitiveness of a region and we are talking about Portugal and we are talking about Europe or Iberia or whatever, longevity is there. So people are living longer, you know, and we know we don't have the very wealthy state so they can pay for everything. So we don't need the private sector because the state will do everything. Of course, this is not real. So the question I like to ask is this: how can we take the most for these three areas? And I might start from Guilherme, just not to start from the government perspective. So I'm going to start from Guilherme, then from the private sector, and I leave the final answer for Madeira.
Okay, that's a very interesting question, Anna. Today we have challenges that cannot be contained only in the private or the public sector. Okay, it's a society challenge, and we share the same challenges sometimes, and collaboration are the key message for us to achieve that. Even though I'm now representing Tech Balance, that is a private startup, but also working on a public hospital in Brazil, I see that the convergence of the efforts are very important. We need to work together, especially when we are providing truth technology and new solutions for healthcare, access to healthcare. And I believe that this is a very important thing for us to keep in mind. The experience that we are having, and I believe plays the same for Ana and Ricardo, are that good projects and good challenges always plays a major role. We need to have very clear defined what are the tasks and what are the capabilities we have to use together to provide a better solution, especially on the longevity, where chronic diseases comes very often, when we have issues on the economic side, access, integration of the family, digital access and digital literacy for us to provide solutions to. So all this needs to play together, and it's not it's easy in concept, not easy to do. But I believe it's a very important message for us in every day of our work, that we need to work together. There's not a single challenge on longevity that will be solved alone. We will need to be playing with more and more of our partners, and sometimes just to the government will make probably the best move on tracing and feeling the direction that we should go, and sometimes avoiding us to pursue it. So it needs to encourage, but should not time to block the initiative from the private sector to fulfill their part. So that's how I see today. That's how it's being played in Brazil as cooperation, and it's been providing very good results when we find the right challenges for us to go after together.
Thank you, Guilherme.
Yeah, I think it's hard to add anything relevant after what Guilherme said. I think that he captured pretty nicely what I was also putting here on the screen. I think that, first of all, I believe that there is not one single challenge in current healthcare, a true challenge that might be solved by one entity alone. And so I think that once we realize that, it goes into trust, right? And then we need to discuss trust. And coming from the hospital, from the public sector in the hospital, practicing now, I continue to practice health psychiatry on the private setting, but I am also on the private company. And I noticed how, being the same person, the perceived trust changed when I moved. And this reflects how we as society are trained and formatted in a way that private and public, we are not talking about the same, but the people is the same, right? And so trust, I think it's one thing that is really important. We all know about trust, that it is built from transparency and from being brutally honest with one another. And I do believe that we need to improve that as a culture as well. I think we have great examples of true win-win-win-win partnerships with private, public, patients, society. So it is possible. This is one. I think that we need to be humble, everyone, that whenever we join efforts, we learn a lot. But it's we have also the growing pains, right? And we had a project really recently that joined private companies, private hospitals, public hospitals, startups around dementia and digital innovation. And I think that the most, not surprising, the most striking thing was how much everyone learned about each other, even the language and the speed. And so for me, I think the more we have these kind of opportunities to come together, to identify what is common and what is the challenge that we all want to solve, then we need to be transparent, saying, okay, what's in this for me? Okay, and so I think that we have all a common objective, which is to improve patients' lives, being longevity or curing a disease. But then we bring different expertise, and of course we also expect to take out of this endeavor different benefits as well, which means nothing wrong, just means that we need to be clear and what are you bringing to the table.
Thank you. Ana? I think we are not listening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't put the microphone on. As I said before, first of all, I agree with Ricardo. The digital transformation in the health sector, it's crucial for longevity, for literacy at the level of longevity. And that, how can we do that? We do strength. We want to be strength in the relationship between public, private. Our collaboration networks, including with the pharmaceutical and technology industry, it's crucial too for the government. To minimize the suspicion or the discomfort about this relationship, two rules: regulation and transparency. That it's the most important things to do. Of course, we just do the most important, or we can abord the most important dimensions on that. For example, as I said before, we are working in a network with the industry at the level pharmaceutical and technological about cardiovascular longevity and innovation, including when I said before, we want to be a Madeira living lab, that includes research and clinical trials, for example. And to do that, we need the other sectors. They are crucial for us. We can't do this alone. If we are doing knowledge, technology, and innovation come the most important dimensions of the future of our hospital, or for our hospital in the future, we do this with the other sectors, of course. Automatization, simplification of the process, we need the others to know about how to do, learn from them, and they learn from us, because we have, as I said, a huge experience to run the process, but we don't have the experience or the expertise to simplify sometimes, or to develop the crucial process, or to automatize that. It's because that this kind of relationship and this network that we are want to create and we are working on are very important for us. The integration, the continuity, the care. If we want to be leader in the tourism of health and well-being, we need the others too on this kind of fields, special fields. They are revolutionary fields, the technological, including the technological associated with the pharmaceutical or the medical device innovation, for example. As the point of view of the government is rules, regulations, transparency, and of course, put I don't know if I should do it, but put our heart in our hands, as I said, because we need to be comfortable with this kind of relations. And that's it for now.
Thank you, Anna. We're almost in the middle of our conversation, but I would like also to open for the questions. So before to do that, and open and let the people make the questions they want to, I would like to put in another, call it final question for the three of you, which is touching the longevity literacy. So we are talking about companies, we are talking about innovation, startups, government. Let's talk about a little bit about people, and not only people, those who will benefit from this, but also for the professionals. So we need, in my perspective, we need to learn about two things. I usually talk about longevity literacy, so learning to live longer and understand what it means. How can we improve our health? In the afternoon, we will have Zora, she's a biohacker, so she will talk exactly how the science and how is biohacking is a new profession that comes from this longevity. But we also need to learn about what is getting old, about aging. So we need this double literacy. And I'll ask you quickly to answer. I don't know who wants to start, if those online, if.
It's fine, I can start, and I think that the literacy topic is critical, and I do believe that here we have also another overlap or intersection of it's health literacy, is digital literacy, it's longevity literacy. So it gets even more complex, right? The more we add things. I think that Juan touches a very important topic in my perspective, and I also learned, liked a lot the way that you phrase it, was that longevity doesn't mean just to get old, right? It's not the elder population. It's in fact how we, from early age, start realizing that we will have a long life to live. And so for that, I would say that we need all to learn that from school age, right? So
Yes.
what does it mean for
Spain
us?
is ahead from us.
Yeah.
In this.
The other thing I would add is we cannot fall in the trap of thinking of literacy as something that we do for the population that doesn't know anything. Because in fact, as a physician, I need a lot of literacy training in terms of what does it mean, the longevity. We are now discussing a lot about gender differences. And so this is something that I was not trained when I was in med school. And so we need to constantly be upgrading our toolkits and our skills to make sure that we can offer the best service. And so as a society, I totally agree with you. And I think that we need to focus a lot of effort here, not necessarily just on longevity, but as a whole, the world is changing fast and we need to speed up.
Yes. I don't know, Guilherme or Ana? Guilherme?
Yes, I agree with Ricardo. And this topic of literacy is very challenging and very important too, especially because we are in a society of things moving too fast. Information and content that we generate are being consumed in a fast-paced mode, and people are not getting enough time or has a strategy to educate themselves about things, especially health literacy. And it's important for us to make an effort that this is a goal from the government and from the industry to help professionals, the population, to have this literacy as one of their targets. Why? Because if we do not have longevity literacy, we are going to consume wrongly the service. We are going to ask and expect different service and solutions for our health that will not be sustainable for long. Also, we need to very early age cross between longevity and digital literacy altogether. We need to make sure that people can understand what digital solutions will be offered to them, how they can interact. This will provide healthcare access to them through digital solutions. The government will use such solutions to do a hybrid version of care for the population, and will support the older people with different platforms that will provide them the necessary combination of care. And we saw this on the pandemic. We mixed telemedicine, telehealth for people that stay at home, and we saw that this was a mix of technology, but also a different process of care that we had to adapt. And now we know that many more people understand what they could get out of a teleconsultation, for example, that they didn't used to before. They were now educated about it, but we need to provide this in a higher effort. And Ricardo mentioned something that is very important. We need to also provide to the healthcare providers, to the healthcare employees, to the professionals, different sorts of education, because they will need to interact differently with the population, digitally and socially. So that probably will be a very important thing in the long term.
Thank you, Guilherme.
Of course, I agree with all. And for me, longevity literacy is so critical. It's the secret, maybe, for a proper, prosperous, long life. For us, we are working in this field, doing the 4 ideals: maintain the health and the quality of life, to be active, to be productive, and to be successful. And the successful, sharing the opportunity to do this with the culture, the art, and the tourism. To be productive, we are preparing to present to the Deputy Assembly a recommendation to discuss, for example, the compulsory reform at the administration public at the age of 70. But we need to work this with the people. They want to maintain working or not, and why they want to be on the work, and in what way, in a form of working complete, partial, telework, and we need to discuss this with the population, and we are preparing to do this discussion. For us, it's very important to maintain the health style, of course, and to have good options, not just using the system, but what we eat, how we are active, or if we do the formal physical activity, or if we do informal physical activity. And we have a working group to discuss these 4 ideals, and we are going to do this discussion on this afternoon, how we meet people to discuss about aging healthy, aging productive, aging successful, and aging including financial resilience. It's very important for us too. We are doing this at our region. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Now I'm open for questions. I don't know if Clara.
Thank you. I want to ask a question based on a tangent with this topic of health literacy. A large part of my business is on social media. And what I'm seeing right now is there are people that have short attention spans, and we're learning a lot about health and wellness and how to behave through 15-minute videos, 30-second videos, right? And so these become very popular. And on the one hand, it's really great. It's a wonderful way to get health information to people in bite-sized portions. But on the other hand, there's also a lot of misinformation and a lot of fake news. So people get confused. How do you see this challenge? How do we overcome this challenge in order to give the right information to the right people in such a short amount of time?
The privilege of being in person, right? Two challenges actually, right? One is the source of truth, and how we need as a society to make sure that at least we know what is the source, what are the sources of the information we are getting, and the other one is how to communicate that in 15 seconds, like you mentioned. I think that for the first one, I do see there a huge opportunity for governments, private, public sector to come along and join efforts in identifying and creating a kind of a polygraph that can identify what is the truth and what is not. And we saw how impactful on the positive and negative side that was during the pandemic, right? And we saw how nonsense were being just spread and how really important informations were eventually not. In terms of how to make the messaging work, I don't have an answer. I just know that we need to. It's not, there is no way to pull back. We will not be having our teenagers and most of our young adult population reading through, I don't know, 400 pages to understand where, if eventually on that book we have the answer that we need. I do hope that technology will help to digest, to streamline information, and to extract from those 400 pages that 15 seconds abstract that just gives me a sense of what it is. I think that we are still journey on that journey.
If I can add, that's a very good question and a huge challenge we have today as a society. When we move from the traditional learning curve, from the natural education process that we are still fighting at our schools and methodology, to the fast-paced consuming content and discarded content that we have on the social media and the internet. I would say to you that some things are very important in this battle for attention and for the retention of information. First, we need to have content that is trusted. So the source needs to be trusted. And we cannot only do as best as we can if we do not do a good job of selecting a trustworthy content from a trustworthy organization. So if you are going to provide information, you need to be considered a trusted source. The second part is the modification on how we communicate, the TikTok version of our communications today, right? So people want to do less than information and more of the edutainment. So they want to learn on a more enjoyable way. And we are still battling with the educators to make people learn the old way. So the 400 pages is still very challenging today for us to face. But we have the 42nd challenge, that is to convey a very complex message. I think this will be difficult for us to transpose this challenge. We are going to develop probably new ways to convey quick messages, and the retention of this will be shorter, but we can do this on a repeated way. So get access so people understand that they can have a trusted source and they can go back and try to find out this. But just to add one spin is, as we move towards AI generation of content, as we are discussing today on this ChatGPT and other mechanism, it's going to be even harder for us to be sure how the message is provided to the consumer, depending on how these machines and how the mechanisms will select the content. It's amazing how much they can do, the technology on the AI base, but how much we need to control it today on the learning process. So I think we have a very interesting times ahead of us.
I don't know, Anna, if you want to add something?
Yeah, maybe I will put a little bit more confusion on that. We face the opinion makers at the moment. This is as champignon, as mushrooms, opinion makers. And usually people believe more on that opinion maker than the official or the scientific sources. We need to be together to face this kind of opinion makers. For us, at the regional level, this is a problem, that opinion makers who are not always sufficiently documented on the subjects, but they have a kind of communication and a form to communicate and put on the place of that are not so documented or scientific way to communicate, but make sense for the most of people. And this is the advice I put here on this discussion.
Yeah, now listening to Anna, I just reminded to add something here on the influencing piece, right? Because we are flooded, in fact, with these opinion leaders, influencers. One thing we know, and we are already seeing, is we have a new generation of healthcare providers that are also entering the social networks, and they are also using the same kind of tools. And so what we are now seeing, and hopefully growing as we move ahead, is this trustful physician, nurse, whatever, that is also trusted source on the social media. And they also use the 15, 20-second TikTok video to share on something. So I think this is also a way that we evolve.
Yes, just allow me to answer your question also, because I want to mention that the reason behind 40 Plus Lab suggests to the Empresa Group to have this project, Expresso Longevidade, was exactly this. So not only to put the topic of longevity on the table, but also trying to create the beginning of a trustful source of information. I don't know, we have a little bit more time for another question. I don't know if we have from the audience.
Just a question. Why do you think that people trust more an opinion maker than a professional?
Wow, I think that trust has lots of factors in it. I think that one of the things is clear is we need to improve the way we communicate. And we, as humans, we retain and we hear more what we like, and it's harder for us to digest what eventually we don't like, right? Smoking, healthy lifestyles, diet. We all want to lose weight, but whenever we have someone saying, okay, this is what you need to do to lose weight, we just say, yeah, but so if I hear someone that has a 15 video TikTok saying that I can lose weight if I just drink water with lemon while when I wake up, that's what I'm going to do, and I will just ignore the rest. So one thing is the communication piece. The other thing I also feel is consistency. We need to make sure that the key messages are shared in a consistent way, and then as a society that we also learn to navigate on the sources. I think that, and I'm a father of 3 girls, and they are now starting to learn at school that, in fact, when they go into the internet, they need to look into the URL address to see if it is trusted or not. They need to see the references. But like Guilherme said, with ChatGPT, we get a lot of references there that look quite credible, but they are just plausible, but not true. So I think that we need, as a society, to speed up our learnings in how to communicate. But in terms of why we trust more ones than the others, I do believe that is the messages that are more aligned with our beliefs, we retain. The ones that aren't, we need the consistency, the fact checking, and a lot of effort there.
I would like, okay, go ahead.
Good morning. I'm a physician also, internal medicine physician, and I work at the private hospital. And I agree with Ricardo, and I think that the source, we need always to look at the source, and we have this kind of dilemma that we see younger doctors making these TikTok videos that confuse people, I think. But I think organizations are joining the wave. We can fight the wave. We have to just join and surf it as well as we can. And we can also see short videos from WHO, from CDC, from these major institutions adapt to this few amount of seconds that we have to. It seems like today we can be concentrated more than 20 seconds. So I think the institutions and the main organizations need to adapt to this new form of communication, and the younger generations are adapt. They read the book with it's not possible from them because they are always they need to see the other video. So I think we need to adapt and to this new form of my.
Thank you. We have time for one quick final question and.
Hi, I'm Jose Paulo. I'm from industry, so I think the problem is about education, okay? I think that in Portugal, mainly, we don't teach, we don't have a classroom named health, so that is the issue. I'll give you an example. In Portugal, the huge change in recycling the trash begins in kindergarten. We start in kindergarten educating the people and educating the children in the classroom also, and they change the behavior of the fathers and the grandfathers, right? So if you look 10 years before, it started in kindergarten, and today we are recycling very well because they start in the kindergarten. And this should be also in the health. So we should start, in fact, in kindergarten, teach them about health, about how we can have behavior, good behavior, nutrition, and so on. And this should be the changing of the health of parents and grandparents. One example, why we don't teach the children a simple thing. Then when I'm sick, I make a phone call to SNES 24, right? To NHS 24. A simple thing, right? If you start doing that, believe me, when you're sick, the children will tell you, well, phone first to NHS 24 before you go to hospital, right? Or to emergency room, right? So this is about education. And I think that we should start putting these in our portfolio, and we start changing these, and in next 20 years, yes, everything will change, okay? So that is my idea, including technology, because they use it heavily, right? So the kids are using heavily the technology. So the first will teach the grandparent to use digital access to a telemonitoring or video consultation will be the grandchildren, right? So that's where we need to start.
When I mentioned that Spain is ahead from us in a negotiation, I think that Juan CENIE was involved. They already decided to have longevity classes for children. So, so we need. This is one of the purpose that I have here in Portugal is clear to work to speed up this adoption of longevity. So. We have less than a minute for the three of us. Just send us.
May I make a comment?
Yes, Bonnie.
Hi, good morning. I'm Bonnie Clipper. I'm from the US and live here as well. I am a top healthcare influencer on LinkedIn, and this is a huge challenge that we have across every platform. So it's incredibly important. One of the things that I will say that really does make a difference when we think about communicating, we're not aiming for the people that read journals and listen to podcasts and educated people speak. We're aiming for a different group of people and a different demographic. So finding ways to communicate with those groups are incredibly important. We had a tremendous issue during COVID with masks and vaccines, and that has led to a decline in the number of people that believe in science. So many of us have done campaigns around how important it is to believe in science, and we start with simple things that are kind of a dig on people, such as If you're diabetic or if you have high blood pressure, are you taking medication? Because that's science. So do you get to pick and choose what science you believe in, or do you believe in all science? So it really is about the audience that you're trying to go after, but sometimes you have to aim for the middle and the lower tier. And I'm sorry if that sounds rude, but the other people are the ones doing the reading and listening and trying to find out the facts.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Anna, we have 2 questions from
Okay.
the
go
video.
ahead.
Shall I read it to you
Yes,
now?
yes, please.
A question from the meeting. What is the technology doing for those that are disabled to increase their longevity? This is from Anna. And another one from Joaquin Teixeira. What is being done and can be done to make sure that digital literacy does not raise an even higher barrier to access digital health, thereby widening the gap between those with less resources or in remote locations and access to the future of healthcare?
I think the first one, I'll ask Guilherme to answer. Can you repeat, Paulo? Can you repeat?
The technology doing for those disabled,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Correct. Thank you,
Yeah.
Guilherme.
Yes. Well, I think that there are many things in technology that are being developed today and offered already to help those disabled. For example, there are technology for mobility. We are looking into this very well. We are seeing even people with restricted mobility today being able to walk and to do other things because of these new technologies that are assisted to them on moving, walking, getting raised, or doing other activities that they would require some people to do for them. Also, the digital technology are getting them access through the internet to information and service that they were dependent on other people to do. So there are many features today on the digital technology environment that are aiming the disabled to provide better care, better access, and also alternatives for the daily challenges they face. It's a good topic, a longer topic to tackle, but I think we are having some good chances that it will improve the disabled ones very soon. And also the computing, just to finalize, the computing capacity to learn from learning in speech mode. So the computer understands what you're telling, and they can get access to information for you, and also other solutions that I'm going to see more integrated from the artificial intelligence part. So it's a good horizon, I would say, for us, but also the challenges of access to such technologies. Not everyone will get it at the same time, but I believe it will be important tools on the toolbox from now on.
Thank you, Guilherme. The other one, I don't know. I will let Anna and Ricardo answer this second question, and then we close the panel.
Well, can you just repeat
And
the question?
and the
please?
question was that what can be done that digital literacy does not raise an even higher barrier to access digital health, thereby widening the gap between those with less resources or in remote locations and the access of to the future of healthcare.
I can start. To be honest, I cannot see a risk of digital literacy or investing in digital literacy raising the barrier. I see the opposite. I see that digital literacy can lower the barrier and improve access, because what we have currently is that we don't have an access to, we don't have a barrier to access technology. We have a barrier to understand how technology can support us better. So I think this is on the literacy piece. what I do believe is, and I'm not sure if I'm answering the question, but what I truly believe is that digital health it's probably the best way to solve the heterogeneity of care across geographies, and I cannot forget an example of a neurologist in Kenya that was using mobile phones just to have remote consultations with their patients because they are thousands of kilometers apart, and she was the only neurologist there. And so, of course, this is not top quality healthcare, but is way better than not seeing a neurologist and not understanding if it was a stroke or not a stroke, if something would be needed or not. So I do see digital as a way forward. And then going back to something that Guilherme said on his answer to the previous question is, then we have different kinds of technology, right? We have really expensive, hard to get technology pieces that unfortunately they will continue to be located, I would say, in big cities and big centers. But we all carry a high potential computer in our pockets that is more potent than all the computers that flew to the moon. And so I believe that we can also tap into that technology to ensure that wherever people are located, that they can access healthcare.
Ricardo, Ana, final words?
Just to complete or to agree in group, of course, I agree with Ricardo as Guilherme. For us, digital health is the tool or the most important tool for longevity or for literacy for longevity, as the most important tool for minimize the difference between people in the access at the most important personalized digital health is the opportunity to personalize the care. And we should do this, of course, I agree, since kindergarten. And we should do this with all involved in the care. And most important of that, at the level of families, of the informal care, who is the caregiver? We should identify all caregivers, informal caregivers, and work with them. That is crucial to make as I said, if digital health is important, yes, of course, but all should be involved on that. And the informal caregiver are a very important actor, a person in all centered, personalized care that we want to develop for this longevity or this longevity governance.
Thank you. I think that Ana touches a very important point, but I will no longer explore this. So thank you, Ana. Thank you, Guilherme. Thank you, Ricardo. Now we are going for a coffee break until what?
11:30. 11:30.
Yes. So we have opportunity to talk. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anna, for this panel. Thank you all guest speakers. Thank you remote participants, and thank you participants for your questions. It was amazing space of dialogue here. Now let's have a coffee outside for the ones who are online. So please come back at 11:30 to the teams, and we'll proceed from there, the second panel. Thank you so much.